Now we are going further. Then he says that that uh, बुद्ध बुद्धिर युक्ता जहाती है ना कर्मजम बुद्धिर युक्ता यस कर्मजम बुद्धिर युक्ता ही फलम त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणाम जन्म बंध विनिर्मुक्ता padam gacchanta namayam. He says that how it is possible, how it is possible for an enlightened soul to get, to separate himself from the results of karma, and how it is not possible for an unenlightened soul to, to unattach himself from the results of karma. It is only because of karma yoga. It is only because all the spiritual, all the enlightened souls, they perform karma yoga. They perform the karma according to the way that has been described. So they perform karma yoga, and that is why they can separate themselves from the results of the karma. And when they can separate themselves from the results of karma, that is the only way to get separated from the doership of the karma, because that is going to lead you lead you towards unattachment from the doer. And when you become unattached from the doer, what happens? You become unattached from your ego. Now when you become unattached from your ego, you get rid of all ignorance that you had. You get rid of all the bondages that you have. You get rid of all the sufferings that you have, because all these sufferings, or the cause of all these sufferings is ego, this false recognition of of myself in this ego. This I that I have, it is not me. It is not my real nature. It is not my real nature, but I recognize this I that I use every day to be myself. But this I, does not exist. If you go and search this I, where is this I? You will not find it. You will see that the I that we talk about is unmanifested. It cannot be manifested. It's not there. We assume a false entity. We assume a false entity, and we and thus we talk about this I. This false entity is ego. So this ego, we always hold this ego as if this ego is ourself, but it's not ourself. It is a false recognition of ourself. Ourself always, is beyond this. So when I am, separate from the results of the karma, that is the only way how I become separate from the, doership of the karma. That, and which is getting separated from the ego. So when I become separate from the ego, what happens? This is what happens. He says, Janma bandha vinirmukta gacchanta padam anamayam. That is, when you get separate from the ego, when you can separate yourself from this I, because it was very difficult for me to get separated from this, because I thought that this is what I am. Now I have separated myself from ego. What happens? Janma bandha vinirmukta. I have become free from the bondage of life and death, from birth and death. Now, when I say, getting liberated from the cycle of birth and death, what does it mean? Won't I be born? Yes, you will be born. You will, won't I have life? Am I going to lose this life? No, you will not lose this life. You will be born. But there are many other beautiful things that you don't know. You only know this, what you see in front of you, this phenomena, this phenomenal world. That is what you know. but you don't know many things which is beyond this world. You don't know these things because you cannot perceive them, you cannot see them, because your mind, your ego, your intellect only, and your senses, they only show you what, this reality. And when you see this reality, you think that this is the only reality, but this is not the only reality. There is a reality which is beyond this, which is much more beautiful, which is much more pure, which is much more serene, which is much more blissful. And it is such where people go and they don't come back. Why they go and don't come back? Because it is so beautiful that they don't want to come back. When I go to some place and it's beautiful, I don't want to come back from there. So, there is a place where you will go and you will not come back. Yad gatva na nivaratante tad dhama paramam mama. Krishna says, when you go to certain place and you don't come back, know that is my space, that is my plane, that is my place. So, Janma Bandha Binirmukta, when you get separate from the ego, you get liberated from this bondage of life and death. And when you get separated from this bondage of life and death, when you get liberated, then you discover immortality. We all want to become immortal. Nobody of us wants to die, but it's not possible. It's not possible. Why? Because we impose ourselves as this body. So because we impose ourselves as this body, and because this body has a birth, it is going to die. So there is no way that we can attain immortality. But spirituality says you are always immortal. You are never mortal. You have never taken birth. You will never die. So how will I know this? The only way to know my nature of immortality is when I know who I am. When I know who I am, when I know my real nature. And how will I know my real nature? When I can separate myself from this ego. Because this ego is ignorance. This ego is bondage. The mind is not bondage. The intellect is not bondage. This world is not bondage. When you go into this path of spirituality, at the beginning your mind is going to resist. It's not going to let you meditate. It's not going to let you contemplate. But as you keep doing it, your mind becomes your friend. It will wake you up in the morning. It will tell you, go and meditate. Let's meditate. So, the mind is not a problem at all, because, after a certain point, when you start to have control over the mind becomes your loyal friend. And it also says that the mind is a loyal friend. And if you can, if you go more, if you approach more, you will see the mind becomes your guide. It guides you. So the mind is not a problem. It's not the cause of our bondage. The intellect or this world, they are not the cause of our bondage. They have not binded us. What has binded us into this world? What is that which has put this mask in our eyes, before our eyes, so that we don't see the reality? This is called ego. Ego. This false eye. This false eye is the one for which we all are deceived, but we don't know. Still, we hold on to this eye. The moment we can get rid of this eye, then the reality comes in front of us, and it's so beautiful. Okay, so this eye is ignorance. This false eye is ignorance. This false eye is the problem. Okay, so it says Janma Bandha Binir Mukta. The moment you get rid of this I, then you get rid of this life and death, and you attain immortality. So does it mean by attaining immortality? What does immortality really mean? It says Janma Bandha Binir Mukta Padam Gacchantana Mayam. You attain this state, you you become, you attain, you attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and you attain liver and you attain immortality, and by attaining immortality you achieve a position, you achieve a status, you achieve that plane, that plane of consciousness. You just elevate yourself into that state of consciousness where anamayam, where there is no sufferings at all, where there is no pain, where there is no sufferings, where there is no no ignorance, where there is no ignorance, where there is no sorrow, there is only bliss, there is only peace. So the moment you can get rid of your ego, then you find this perennial peace, this perennial bliss, this perennial joy, this perennial well-being, which was with you forever, but you could not see because it was covered. It was covered by this ego, by this I, the small I which cannot be seen, this small I which does not have any existence. This small I plays such an important role in our life. You cannot find it, you cannot see it, it does not have any existence. The moment you realize who you are, who you really are, you will see that this I never existed. It never existed, never even still when still now when we are talking, and still now when this I is there, we can see the existence of this I. And because of this, all the knowledge that we have, all the peace, bliss, happiness, joy that we have, they're all blocked. But when you attain self knowledge, you will see this I never existed. So what happened? This I never existed. Why have I gone through this? It says this is called Maya. This is called Maya. You've gone through this, when you were liberated, when you were ever liberated, you are eternally liberated. You've gone through so many sufferings. Why? This is called Maya. This is called Maya. Okay, so you can get rid of this Maya, of this ignorance, of this delusion. Maya means delusion. That is, we recognize something which is not that. Like the snake in the rope. There's a rope in the dark, and when I see that rope, I think that this is a snake, and I perceive that as snake. So this observing snake in the rope is called Maya, delusion. So we perceive ourselves in the ego, we perceive ourselves in the mind or the body. This is called delusion. This happens because of Maya. So when we engage ourselves in karma yoga, we get rid of this Maya, we get rid of this delusion. And the moment we get rid of this delusion, then this reality comes in front of us. Wow, how beautiful this reality is. Then we appreciate it. In the Bhagavad Gita, before, in this few verses before, Krishna says, Ascharyavat Paschati Kaschidenam. The one who sees this reality, he gets amazed how beautiful it is. Ascharyavat Badati Tathaiva Chanya. And the people who tries to describe it, they say that this is a real amazement. Ascharyavat Vachanaina Manya Srinoti. And the one who listens about him, they claim, or they exclaim that this is just wonder. This is a wonder. So this wonder is, has been kept away from us. because of ego. Okay, and once the ego is gone, then we elevate ourselves into that plane of consciousness where I can find, you know I can find no sorrow, no sufferings, no sorrow, no sufferings, no pain, no pain, no darkness, no darkness. There is only bliss, there is only peace, there's only joy, there's only happiness, there's only love, knowledge, light, well-being, containment, you are always, always contented, you are always contented, fulfillment, fulfillment. There's no need of nothing. Whatever you need, it comes in front of you. It's like a magic, it's like a magic. So enlightenment is like a magic. Once you attain that enlightenment, then you can see this magic. So now we are going to the next one. What it says, that